If you only ever tried one flavor of ice cream, you would assume that is the best flavor. You might be wrong, and we don't want to make that mistake. So, if we're going to get into 1/24 scale crawlers, we probably need to try a couple of different models. So, today we have the unboxing of the Hobby Plus CR-24. Looks like a little D90. Let's get in there. So let's bust into this. So this all seems to slide out, I guess, as one piece. Easy enough. Generic box, whatever. Not generic, whatever. It's specific to the truck. You know. What do we have in the bag? We've got a little mini screwdriver, looks like a battery charger, and a plastic four-way wrench. I cannot imagine the plastic four-way wrench is going to last very long with the way that I do things. This also, like the SCX-24, this is secured inside the box with some zip ties. And the radio is held in place. Let me see if I can get that out first. Yep. Maybe. Nope, that's also secured with a zip tie. Lots of zip ties. They don't want this to go anywhere. There's worse things. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Not a complaint. Okay, so you are now free, almost. Woo! Nothing else in there, so this is everything in the box. You have what looks to be a pretty thin, I guess, basic manual, truck, radio, and battery is already in place. Can't tell if it's plugged in or not already. So I think, let's see, this batteries, is that an on-off switch? Whoa, what is this? Oh, okay. Are the batteries down? Yeah, okay. This looks like it takes AAAs as opposed to AA's that came with the SCX-24. They did not include any batteries, which is not really that big of a deal to me because they probably would have been terrible batteries anyway. That's kind of neat. I don't think I've seen this before. I say it's neat and then I can't put it back together. This is what always happens when you're filming stuff. Okay, it goes back together easily. That's my bad for being spaz. Trigger doesn't look adjustable. This remote may be a little bit bigger than the SCX-24 remote. And that's all I have for comparison. 2.4 gigahertz. Frequency hopping spread spectrum, I want to say, is what that stands for. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Foamy wheel. Like the SCX-24, you could one-handed drive this, depending upon the size of your paws. For the truck itself, the body looks pretty good. I do see some LEDs here. Looks like we've got front and rear LEDs, both in the bumper. The taillights on the body are not functional buckets of any sort. The body looks pretty good. Seems a little boxy, but it's a D90, right? We've got 4 pins as opposed to the SCX-24, which, now, as I was saying, that's really my only basis for comparison on 1/24 scale at this point. We've got a, so rear 4-link, no issues there. You guys already know that I'm looking at the CMS. There is CMS on this, but, you know. If you know me, you know I'm a stickler for accurate 1-to-1 CMS, even on a 1/24 scale. So the drag link, that's fine. The tie rod is fine. There is no track bar. It's actually a 4-link with CMS. So look, we're not going to be competing with these trucks. But the reason that I harp on all things CMS is because when you have a setup like this, as the axle compresses or droops, and we may end up with more droop depending upon what shocks we get or whatever. Your tires are following the arc of your drag link at this point, and that can do funny things with servo endpoints and that sort of thing. Now, I don't know that I haven't looked, I haven't read the instructions. I see trim. I don't see any sort of endpoint adjustment on here, so this may all be moot. Your endpoint adjustment may come from utilizing different holes in the servo horn. QC passed, yeah. Have to insert that little baby meme right there. But this truck looks fine to me. If I'm gonna be super picky about certain things, I see that the lockouts, the screws are on the bottom. I would flip them over to the top. Don't know if that's possible on the front seats as well, but just to get smoother axle bottoms so you don't drag over as much. Full size functional spare. The tires feel okay. Wow, that's cool. They are little tiny plastic bead locks. The SCX-24, which I have right here just for comparison, that has glue on tires. Now, and again, I'm just comparing these two because this is what I have. The wheelbase on the SCX-24 is just a little bit longer. I'm sure we could modify the wheelbase on the CR-24 if we wanted to. The chassis themselves appear to be pretty close CR-24. The actual chassis now, I am not talking about the extensions for the bumpers, but the actual chassis, if I line up both of the fronts as best as I can eyeball, you'll see the SCX-24 chassis is, I don't know, maybe an inch or so, half inch, 3/4, somewhere in there, longer. If I wanted to compare the body size, obviously they're going to be super similar. The SCX-24 tires look a little taller. Axles maybe look a little more realistic, but we're not talking about the SCX-24. Oh, wait, we just did. We're talking about the CR-24. The price on this truck is significantly less than the SCX-24, so there are some things that I imagine aren't going to be as fantastic. The SCX-24 is running, I believe, a 2S LiPo. This is going to be a 1S, if I am reading this correctly. Yes. And so a little bit less overall power. How that relates to driving, we'll get into when we get into actually trail testing these trucks. Let's pop the top off and see what's underneath. Easier said than done. Man, these little pins, sometimes my big man hands just don't want to go in there. So the body is a little tight on one of these posts. Not a big deal. Can definitely ream that out. The chassis got to be aluminum. Yeah. Chassis is just aluminum. It is not C-channel. It is just flat rail. Shock towers are cut into the chassis. It looks like we've got, again, the all-in-one super ESC receiver, everything all in one. It does say waterproof. That's pretty cool. Battery trays back here. I'm sure that could be tweaked or moved to the front if somebody wanted a little more front weight bias for better climbing. We've got our super teeny tiny little servo in the front. That's pretty much all that's in here. I'll have to do a little bit more comparison in terms of motor sizes and gearing and everything once we get all of our 124 scale crawlers together. But first, I guess, observations is that this looks like a decent little truck. Most of you are not going to be as particular about your suspension setup as I am. That's fine. I think this is going to work fine for most people out there. So when it comes to actually determining which 1/24 scale crawler you want, we'll probably have to go to the numbers, and people will have to figure out what they really need versus what they're willing to pay for. That is definitely a tight fit. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's probably going to come off because, you know, I don't really like, that doesn't look realistic. Like, put that on the windshield, maybe. I feel like that's a better place for a big banner sticker like that if you're only going to have the one, but whatever. Here I go getting picky with stuff. You guys need to stop me. Let's see. What else can we see about this truck? Bumpers are definitely adjustable. I wonder if the wheels and tires transfer over. M2 axle nuts. A lot of this stuff kind of looks similar to the SCX-24, but I would hazard to guess they are not the same. Let me get these pins back on here really quickly. Let's see. Like I said, that's definitely tighter. I don't want to scratch up the body before I take it out on the rocks. Kind of looks like the posts maybe have to bend a little bit to poke through these holes. I don't know if their hole punching is just off a little bit, but not earth-shattering. These pins in the back would definitely benefit from being bent a little bit so they poke up. I wouldn't do it on the front, but these are well protected. One thing I do kind of notice, believe, and again, I guess I shouldn't compare. The SCX-24 does look like it's tucked up a little bit more in terms of the chassis and the body. If I'm looking at the SCX-24, and I'll try to get you guys a level view, the skid plate I feel like pretty well matches the rocker, whereas the Defender, if I look at it dead on, now you can see the wiring and stuff like that. So this to me just looks like a truck with a body lift, if you're familiar with that term in the one-to-one world. Let's see, as far as articulation and everything, we'll have to get into some sort of RTI ramp setup for that. I can definitely see how the tires are going to get up into the fenders. I mean, that's not even turned, so I guess you can expect that lovely tire grabbing body sound. The back, probably not as much. I mean, it tucks up. I don't think that's enough to cut. It actually looks like the body could have been trimmed a little bit better. I'm not sure if you guys will see that. Yeah, there you go on camera. I think that could be trimmed out a little bit better. Maybe they did a slightly better job on this side. Yeah, it doesn't catch on this side. So we'll have to clean up, I guess, the fender flares on this thing. Yeah, it's this whole side looks like it's off. So inside our bag, of course, we have a little mini screwdriver that looks terrible. Like some sort of burr on there. I mean, that probably cost a penny. We've got our USB LiPo charger. Output 4.2 volts, 150 milliamps. I think that actually, well, we'll just have to remember that number for later. I think I've seen a higher one somewhere. And then we have our 4-way. Now, I say this is plastic. It looks like it's probably nylon reinforced plastic, whatever you want to call it. PP6 or something. I can't remember all those terms. I wouldn't say that the molding job is terrible, but it does look like it's got a little bit of a bend to it. I don't know how that could have happened in the box, but hey, it is what it is. Manual, looks like we've got some basic functions. You can reverse the steering. I don't know why you would want to do that, but hey, what do I know? Some basic parts list. I don't know. I have not checked for aftermarket parts on any of these yet. Although, like I said, I do know that the SCX-24 has good aftermarket support already, and we will have some parts for that soon. Let's see. Introduction, warnings, spare parts. So at least they have a chart down here with some spare parts, part numbers. That makes me hopeful, and that makes me at least think that they're going to offer some spare parts. And of course, you got a whole bunch of different bodies down here too. That's pretty neat. Exploded diagram, setting the gear mesh. Got that in here too. We'll have to get into that one of these days if we have any problems. But backside is in Chinese for those of you that speak it. I do not. I did just want to compare so you guys can see how small a 1/24 scale crawler is. That is 1/12 scale. This is that truck from Wish. There is a video on this truck already on our channel. As you can see, it is dwarfed by the, or is it 12th, 14th, 16th scale? Crap, I can't remember. It's not 12th. This had to be 16th scale. I threw the box away. We'll figure it out. But real comparison would be something like my TF2, which doesn't even fit inside the camera frame. That's my TF2 Blazer. I think this would fit inside. And that's, I'll put them next to each other so that it's kind of a reasonable comparison, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so, you know, you can see this guy, this literally drives under the bumper. That's how tiny it is. So if you're shopping for one of these trucks, don't be surprised about how small they are when you get them. I mean, that's my hand. It fits on there. So that's the basic unboxing of a Hobby Plus CR-24 Defender. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing a comparison shootout, if you will, between a couple of these little trucks. The CR-24, the SCX-24, and a truck we have not taken out yet, so stay tuned for an unboxing of that, the Enduro-24. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments, and thank you for watching.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Not sure if you want to subscribe yet? Check out one of these videos. Thank you for watching.